Hey everyone, welcome to this explainer. If you live in Lakewood, you already know our roofs take an absolute beating. Today, we're diving into a comprehensive playbook designed specifically to help local homeowners survive and actually thrive under our brutal weather conditions. We're going to break down deep local expertise to help you protect your biggest investment. Let's get right into it. So here's our roadmap for today. We're going to cover the Lake Erie effect, the warning signs of roof failure, the right way to roof, how to spot contractor red flags, and then we'll wrap up by navigating costs and financing. All right, let's start with section 1, the Lake Erie effect, or why our weather is literally the villain. It's a question practically every local asks. Why do our roofs fail so much faster than homes just, say, 10 miles inland? Well, it comes down to our extreme microclimate. We're sitting less than a mile from the water, and that proximity to the lake creates severe roofing conditions that out-of-town contractors completely underestimate. It causes roofs here to degrade at a vastly accelerated rate. Think about the seasonal whiplash we get. In the winter, you have lake effect snow dumping unbelievably heavy loads on your roof from November straight through March. That puts immense stress on your trusses, and the endless freeze-thaw cycles just crack the shingles. Then, as if that wasn't enough, spring rolls around and brings gale force winds right off the lake. These prevailing winds, especially on your west-facing slopes, will easily lift the edges of aging shingles, tear them right off, and blow debris all over the place. It's not just the weather, though. It's what we like to call the Lakewood cocktail. It's the combination of that harsh climate and our beautiful but tricky historic architecture. Think of the early 1900s Gold Coast homes or Birdtown bungalows. You've got steep pitches, multiple dormers, and super vulnerable valleys. Add to that the local clay soil that expands and contracts with moisture. When that soil moves, your foundation shifts, which actually stresses the roof frames above, pulling fasteners loose and opening up gaps in the flashing. It really is a perfect storm for roof deterioration. Moving on to section 2, warning signs of roof failure. You know what public enemy number 1 is around here? Ice dams. Basically, an ice dam forms when heat escapes through poor attic insulation and melts the snow on top of your roof. That water runs down to the freezing cold eaves and it refreezes into a solid ridge of ice. And here's the crazy part. That ice ridge literally forces new melting water to flow backwards. It goes up your roof, right under the shingles, and straight into your walls and ceilings. So, the absolutely crucial point here is, do not wait for a water drop to hit your forehead before you act. The damage usually starts small. You might just notice some missing shingles exposing that black underlayment, or maybe you've got original rusted flashing around your chimneys that's separating from the old mortar. If you happen to walk the roof and feel soft spots or see sagging, your plywood decking is already rotting out. Honestly, even just finding a bunch of shingle granules filling up your gutters is a major red flag. If you're seeing these signs, the damage is already accelerating. Okay, section 3. Let's talk about the right way to roof. A legitimate professional replacement is always going to follow 3 exact steps. First, it has to start with a physical, hands-on inspection right up on the roof, complete with photo documentation so you can actually see the damage for yourself. Don't settle for a quick estimate guessed from a drone photo. Second is material selection tailored to your specific home. And finally, the installation and cleanup. A real pro is obsessive about cleanup, using magnetic rollers to catch every single stray nail. The actual installation phase itself usually just takes about 2 to 4 days. 1 to 150. That isn't just a best practice, it's literally Ohio Building Code law. You need exactly 1 square foot of ventilation for every 150 square feet of attic space, split evenly between intake vents at the soffits and exhaust vents up at the ridge. Without that balanced airflow, summer heat and moisture get trapped and age your shingles prematurely from the inside out. And in the winter, that trapped heat is exactly what triggers those nasty ice dams we just talked about. Beyond ventilation, there are a few other non-negotiable standards to keep your home sealed. You've got to have underlayment across the entire roof deck. Crucially, the code requires an ice and water shield extending a minimum of 24 inches from your exterior walls. A lot of cheap contractors skip this to save a few bucks, but leaving out that 24-inch shield is pretty much a guaranteed recipe for winter leaks. You also need specific fastener patterns with a higher density of nails meant to survive our local high wind zones. And please, don't cheap out on materials because the performance difference is massive. Basic 3-tab shingles are only rated for 60-mile-per-hour winds. That makes them incredibly vulnerable to sudden lake gusts. On the flip side, architectural or dimensional shingles are rated for 130-mile-per-hour winds. The upfront cost difference is honestly pretty minor, but upgrading to that 130-mile-per-hour rating is absolutely vital for surviving severe storms and resisting hail damage here in Lakewood. Which brings us to section 4, Spotting contractor red flags. Getting a new roof is stressful enough, and unfortunately, the industry has its fair share of bad actors. But your BS detector can easily be calibrated to spot a scammer instantly. You just need to know what behavioral cues to look out for. So here's what you need to watch for. If a roofer has no physical business address, or if they suddenly roll into town with out-of-state license plates right after a bad storm, be super wary. If they're demanding huge upfront deposits, insisting on cash only, or they flat out refuse to show you their certificates for workers' comp and liability insurance, you need to walk away immediately. Legitimate pros will always pull the required permits, and they'll always encourage written contracts. Let this quote be your golden rule. Never tell a contractor you haven't gotten other bids. Don't tell them you know anything about roofing, and whatever you do, do not share your max budget right up front. Oversharing like that just invites inflated pricing and a bunch of unnecessary upsells. Keep it professional, demand the details in writing, and keep your cards close to your chest. Finally, Section 5. Let's talk money, navigating costs and financing. When you look at the numbers, your costs are driven heavily by size and complexity. A standard 400 square foot garage? Pretty straightforward. It has a basic pitch and fewer penetrations. But a 2,000 square foot historic home with steep pitches, multiple valleys, dormers, and several chimneys, that cost goes way up. All that complexity requires drastically more flashing, extra safety equipment, and really intense detail work from the crew. Keep the numbers 15 to 20 in your head. Once your asphalt shingle roof hits 15 to 20 years old, most insurance carriers are going to switch up their policies. Instead of covering the full replacement cost if storm damage happens, they'll switch to depreciated payouts. Some insurers might even require you to get a roof replacement just to keep their coverage active once you cross that age milestone. If you do find yourself needing a new roof, don't panic. There are plenty of really smart ways to fund it without completely wiping out your savings. Start by having a pro check for verifiable wind or hail damage so you can file an insurance claim. If that doesn't pan out, look into home equity lines of credit or FHA Title I home improvement loans. And definitely check with your local credit unions because they often have much better interest rates than the big national lenders. Oh, and you can also hunt for manufacturer rebates if you go with high-efficiency shingles. So, I'll leave you with this. Be honest. Is your roof truly prepared to survive the next brutal Lake Erie winter? Or are you just one severe storm away from water pouring into your living room? Now that you've got this playbook, I highly encourage you to take a walk outside today. Look up at your roof, scan for missing shingles, check the gutters for granules, and ask yourself if it's finally time to bring in a trusted local pro. Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and stay dry out there.